Fingers crossed for that.
Fingers crossed. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm the Wolf of 1918, and I'm here live with 1918 Doughboy.
Hello, everyone.
If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, I'm sure most of the people here know who you are, but
You seem to be cutting out a tiny bit.
do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody? I don't know if that came through clear.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Owen Sayers, but you probably know me as 1918 Doughboy. I would say intermediate reenactor for 2 years running, and, well, that's my introduction. I guess that's good.
So, fun fact: a lot of what I've done with my account, well, not a lot of what I've done, but the reason why I have a separate account for my reenactment versus a personal account is mainly because I started following your Owen Wolf Comics account because I saw a comment from you in from World War I Airsoft, and I clicked it on accident, and then I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So I followed you, and I saw you posted about you starting the 1918 Doughboy account, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm starting reenactment. I should probably do something like that. And then that's what I created that. I said 1918, not because of your account, but I think it might have partially been influenced by that. But yeah, your account kind of inspired me doing what I do. And in terms of just a separate account for everything, specifically based around reenactment. So, you're one of the main reasons why. You and World War I Airsoft, but World War I Airsoft pretty much influenced everybody who started reenacting after 2016.
As he has influenced me.
So, you kind of got me going with my Instagram account, and that got me going with YouTube. So, sort of got the ball rolling there.
I'm glad to be part of the inspiration.
I'm glad to have you on the live stream. I will be adding your YouTube channel, into the description once this live stream is over. I'm not too familiar with the live stream functions of YouTube right now, and it's not very user intuitive. So I don't want to try to do that right now and then screw everything up. But your account will be linked in the description. So,
all right, thank you.
I saw your post about the Washington reenactment, which I thought looked really cool. I haven't actually gone to an event. I've just done airsoft stuff. But if you want to talk about how that went with how you guys slept, ate, did the reenactment stuff.
Yes, I'd be glad to. Well, should I start now?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
All right, because this event was obviously the birthplace of many stories, and I mean many. In fact, so much so that I decided to write down in this book what it would be like from a soldier's perspective. I am decently certain I did not get far into it, covering only the first few hours. And that's not even at the event. But let me just get this out of the way before I can actually tell it from my perspective from the whole time. So it was Camp Huffman. That was the name of this event, Camp Huffman. Day 1. We were all ready and prepared for the long trip over there. Hot summer day already. It was September by this time. But at least the car I was in was slightly cooler. In my mind, I knew I was ready for something that lay ahead of me, considering that I spent months training with my company, going about our soldierly duties. So, of course, I'm writing this as a soldier. This is just code talk, in a way, about what I was doing the past 2 years. However, a wavering uncertainty that I ruminated about was if I was actually physically able to continue with my current course. The old Loki, as the men called this rattler, took us all on a speedy path to the edge of our nation. The town we got off in appeared to be named Edmonds, but I was unsure of what state. I looked over the queue that formed in a quick manner and saw our ship docking in. It was a majestic vessel, quite a good size for thousands of men. I am really talking about a car ferry that was taking us from Edmonds, which is north of Seattle, to the peninsula. Let's see then. While looking, my sight was soon blocked by a soldier I knew, someone I haven't seen for months until now. This is where I met Thomas Yip, or you guys know him as Alex Reed 626. This is the second time I met him in person, and always once again a pleasure to meet him. His name is Thomas. Both locked eyes and exchanged greetings, started chatting about the usual sort of things, being what we learned from basic, what we did prior to the trip out here, and it turns out he brought all of his First World War minutiae, his uniforms, all of it. So he just has like this SUV full of uniforms, weaponry, and stuff like that.
He came, I don't want to interrupt you too much, I don't want to derail this, but he came down and we were doing a camp out and near Forest Hill around the same time when he was coming back. And so he stopped by, and his SUV was filled so full with stuff, dude. I'm like, how do you have so much stuff, let alone fit it all in your SUV?
I know, man. It's crazy.
He's
Yeah,
insane. He's a mad lad.
he's a mad lad. Yes. Anyway, we started getting close to the vessel. We docked it, of course, and we were just going over the ferry, just like going over there. It felt like we were actually on a troop ship and whatnot. Well, that's all I wrote down. But anyway, after that, we basically, got off the boat, and then we had like an hour's drive to the battle site, the campgrounds. It was just a pretty long generic drive, but when we finally got there, this was kind of a funny story, but you see, this event was being held on private property. It was actually on property that my corporal owns. So it's literally his family's property. So when we're going up the driveway, which was like a long way into the woods, we were following this other car that stopped, and this woman came out, and she's like, "Are you following me?" Turns out to be my corporal's mother, and she had no idea about this event. It's like, okay, but this is private property. We have to follow the rules. They're like, we know, that's why we're here. Anyway, we finally get there. We meet Brian. It's just us three, and this is Thursday. Thursday, the third, or yeah, I think the third. We unload all of the stuff, which is like a whole half hour to probably a full hour of unloading Thomas's car, and of course unloading mine. And we're basically like, all right, we have 3 campsites. Which one do you want to go, boys? We have campsite number 1, which is right in my front yard. Yes, it's in front of my house, in the front yard. Site number 2 is the other yard, which is also in front of our house. And site number 3 is a long way up into the woods where there's this flat, sort of rocky spot with barely any grass. So before the event, everyone was like, "Oh, let's do site number 3 because we want to have the immersive experience."
The immersion.
Site number 1 because the grass was softer.
Gotta sleep.
Exactly. And let's see then. We were
I
setting.
know. I know Thomas. Yep, he mentioned that the Zelt bonds are basically just two of the sheets draped over like that, and you just slept on the ground.
Yes, it was that, and we also had these old canvas cots, these old like First World War canvas cots that we just set up, stuck outside. Let's see.
No, that's pretty cool.
We had 2 other people show up. It was this guy named Tim, who was a photographer for the event, I believe, and the other, I guess, OC, overall commander for the event. His name is Kyle. Anyway, we're all AEF at the time, and then we basically were just like, all right, well, I guess we're not setting up tents tonight because it got too dark. Let's just set up some old canvas cots and put them outside my front deck. Are you sure you guys want to sleep outside? It might get cold overnight. And I was like, no, man, we're good. And mind you, yeah, this was after we came back from town having a dinner. I had clam chowder. And so Thomas and I were just sleeping in canvas cots right outside some random dude's deck. And, well, basically this is probably the majority of my reenacting career already. Just sleeping in random areas with strangers, just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Anyway, turns out everyone probably had a better night on the inside of the house because, well, it did get really cold, and we heard coyotes that kept us up all night.
Oh boy.
And I think I might have had a bit of food poisoning because I threw up 3 times out in the yard.
Ooh, that's.
I was just like, "Dude, are you all right?" I was like, "I'm good, man. I'm good. And I just crawled back into my cot and just like I even took out my German tunic and just wrapped it around my American one with a wool blanket. I was like, I am not letting this night like just completely destroy me, even though it did. By the time morning came, I just woke up to my corporal just sitting outside drinking his cup of coffee. "Oh, morning, Owen. Did you feel all right?" I was like, "Did it look like I did?" Okay. I'm getting up for the day. We're all getting up for the day. Today is the day where the majority of the attendees are arriving. And yes, it was basically just a slow morning of setting up tents, having the Germans, Americans, again, the Canadians decided to show up. A squad of 3 Canadians.
Ooh.
Yes, it was very intriguing.
That'll turn the tide.
Let's see, memory gets a little fuzzy after this, but basically we were just like, okay, let's make this day interesting. Okay, Thomas and a friend named Huckleberry, we're going into town together to, let's get some stuff. Because we found out Thomas brought his, what is it, an SMLE grenade launcher cup that is able to fire tennis balls.
I saw a video of that. That was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, so basically when most of the people arrived, we were just like, okay, we should make sure if this is usable for the battle. What are we going to do? Okay, we're going to take the corporal, or what is it, the Feldwebel, the Gehrfighter, I don't know. The German leader for Regiment 23. What we do is we set him up in Sturmpanzer, what is it, Grafenpanzer? Is that the lobster armor?
Yeah, I think so.
And we're just like, all right, we're going to shoot a tennis ball at you out of this grenade launcher.
Yeah, that's fine. Just go for
At the
it.
lowest, and we're just like, okay, this is probably the safest we can do. Ready? Fire. Okay, let's do that again. Let's do that again. We take the same ball and we put it back in, but it has like a hole in it now, so it's not going to be aerodynamic at all. So we're like, okay, full gas. Let's try that. Fires right past his head. He's just like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's bring it into the battle. Why not? Anyway, that was
That
after.
could have been bad. It hits him right there. It just looks like that breastplate that was covered from Waterloo with the hole in it.
Oh, you saw that too? Oh my gosh. Now we got to put a rock in that launcher. See if we can do that. Yeah.
Cannon fire.
Yeah, this is probably the best story that happened after we got out of town. Because the whole reason we went into town was to get tennis balls. And the funniest thing is, we had to go across the peninsula to a Walmart, and we didn't want to change it to normal clothes. So you had a bunch of us, like what was it, two or three Germans. No, wait, it was two Germans, Thomas Yip and Huckleberry, and they were just dressing around in German First World War uniform. I'm in American uniform because I was going to be fighting as an AEF that day. So we're just walking around Walmart, and no big deal. Believe it or not, we get no compliments hate hate speech that we were Nazis or anything. We just got a bunch of compliments just saying, dude, is this like a reenactment going on? Oh, yeah, Camp Huffman down the road. Oh, sweet. Can I join? It's private. Oh, shoot. So I guess we had a lot of people interested in what we were doing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were just at Walmart, and I bought rations for myself. Basically, a bunch of Canada Dry ginger ale and saltines, because my hardtack, well, yes, I had a lot of hardtack, but saltines...
It's a little hard to eat.
That day. Let's see. After we got back, we had the tennis ball launcher incident, and then we decided, okay, let's set up the battlefield now. Now, I thought we already had the battlefield set up. Nope, that's your job. So just grab a bunch of tools, we're going into the forest, dig positions now. So basically, we actually cheated a little bit, and apparently one of Brian's friends had an excavator. So we had a dugout dug in like a few seconds compared to our shovels that would have taken all night.
Yeah, that's always better to have an excavator. Yeah. Just 100%.
Exactly. So it was basically a motley crew of Canadians, Americans, and Germans. We were just digging, filling up sandbags. My first experience filling up sandbags, and it's actually pretty fun if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing. I filled up sandbags, and the first time I did it, I was like, "What? But how do you tie this together? I'm so confused." And when you don't know, if you don't have anyone there that knows how to do it, you're just sitting there for like 30 minutes going, "Do you do this? Is it like a cinch? Do you?" And every single sandbag's different. The twine will snap, and you're just sitting there like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, you just don't know what.
In me,
it took
Give me a trench gun to scratch the back of my throat with.
Oh, wow. It took us a while to realize that the sandbags were actually inside out. So that made we should just, make these inside out. And it made it easier. So it was a sandbag that you fill 2/3 full, and then you have this kind of weird plasticky drawstring thing that you tie around the top, cinch it. Then when you put the bag down, you have the little cinched end just folded underneath, put them on top. We made a decent, what did you call it? Bunker, I guess. It wasn't even a bunker. It was just a emplacement, a machine gun emplacement, sniper emplacement, whatever it was. We built it and we were proud of it. So it was basically just that. And then later at night, I was like, okay, then I just feel like tonight I don't really want to wear my AEF clothes, so I switch over to the German side just for tonight. Ooh. And that's when I go up with the Germans, and we're like, all right, here's a rifle. Let's do some drill. I was like, perfect. I do not know German drill. So they're like, oh, easy. And our fellow forgets his command.
That's such a lie.
I know. And he's just
German drill, easy. Ooh.
You say, Achtung. Just like, put your feet together, have your hand along the seam, have your arm out a little bit, hold the rifle like this, and just look pretty, okay? So we just do that, and then suddenly it's like, wait, why are we lining up with the other people? Then I hear, Private Sayers, present yourself. So I just step out, and I was like, come. They're just like asking me to come here. This is my corporal talking. And he has a box, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel nervous. What's going on here? Why am I being called out? Am I doing something wrong here? It's like, step forward. So I just step up to him. He's like, Owen, in honor of your 17th birthday, we have gotten you this cake. And he opens it up, and it's a cake with my brand logo on it. And I'm just like, whoa.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they all sing happy birthday, of course. And then Thomas hands me a bayonet to cut the cake. And that was my most honorable moment ever. It's probably my best birthday, too.
That's great.
So yeah, we have cake, and it was a really good night. And the next day, we knew that it would be a better day because we actually have the battle.
How'd night two go? Did you get smart and sleep inside, or did you sleep outside again?
Well, by this time, we actually had tents set up, so I was actually bringing
Ah,
out my wool blanket and uniforms, of course. So I had a way better sleep that night, and I actually got to use an original lantern for the first time. These things are actually
ooh.
really cool. They're very useful.
Oh yeah, those are really bright and all that.
Exactly. So yeah, it was a good night, and then we woke up to the bugle at 6 o'clock. I know something I hate now. I hate the bugle. I hate it. It just wakes you up prematurely. Doesn't it feel like it? Like, have you ever been woken up by a bugle before?
Unfortunately, I have, and it wasn't in a reenactment sense either.
Hmm.
It
Well, you.
wasn't. It wasn't for military use. It wasn't anything. It was just a bugle.
It was just bugle.
I was at Tahoe at a friend's family's cabin, and they had a bugle on the wall. And it was like morning. We had stayed up almost all night. One of my friends thought it'd be funny just to pick it up and just use it. And I woke up to the sound of a bugle.
My condolences to you.
It was something else, dude. It was so I've been woken up to a bugle, but not in any other sense than just one of my friends was screwing around and blowing a Civil War era bugle that he found on the wall of my friend's family's cabin. A bugle used by my friend's great 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 grandfather during the Civil War.
Whoa. Interesting
So
story, but
yeah,
annoying. Yeah.
it was interesting. I'll say that.
So yeah, we woke up to the bugle that morning, and we are basically like, okay, everyone, today is where we get ready. So prepare your ammunition. We'll check it over, 2 or 3 times each. So I'm like, all right, this is perfect. This is perfect. I realize I'm probably a bit short on ammunition. I have a whole bandolier, 6 pocket, 10 rounds each in each pocket. That's pretty much all the ammunition I have, minus some in my belt. So it's a good thing that before the event actually, happened, Thomas just happened to bring a bunch of 30-06 blanks. Oh,
Ooh.
that was perfect. There were those red tip privy blanks, like full load. Yeah. And let's see then. I loaded up, it was checked all good. And basically, I was just waiting around for an hour until everyone else was getting ready. Fill up my canteen, perfect thing. Oh, yeah, by this time, the mess tent was set up. And let me just say, having eaten out of a mess tin with actual slum and hardtack is actually quite an experience, especially
It
when the
is.
hardtack is actually soaked and softened. It's a pleasure. So let's see then. By the time the people were actually ready, we gathered around in a big circle. I have a photo of that, I think. We're basically like, all right, we're discussing the rules. Blah blah blah. You don't shoot at 15 feet from another person. If you want to shoot someone, you must do it in the air and say safety kill if you're less than 15 feet away. And no melee weapons, please. If you want to engage in close quarters combat, make sure you are known. Stuff like that. And we're like, oh yeah, oh yeah. By this time, I was getting pretty nervous because I'd never been in battle before, and anything could go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was starting to feel really tense. And what we had in mind for the first skirmish was, okay, Germans, you have a half hour. Go set up in the forest. And then as Americans, we'll march right in and shoot you all. Yeah, can't you see the problem that when you give Germans enough time to get defense going in the forest, they're going to be hard to spot?
Did anyone on the German side have a machine gun that was blank firing?
I We should have a machine gun available sometime. We didn't have a machine gun. The closest thing we had was Thomas's airsoft MP18-1, and that thing is puny. It's silent compared to the blanks. Like, it was useless. That was the closest
now,
thing.
now, hey, I'm not going to confirm anything, but eventually, I might be able to provide one.
I see.
Possibly, perhaps ability. I'm working on a class 3 license, so that's a perhaps ability.
Yeah. And it seems like by January, the AEF group will have its own 303 Vickers, courtesy of Jeff Meek. He's one of our guys. Anyways, we're basically like, okay, now's our time to go into the forest. You are authorized to load. I open my 1917 Enfield, and I load in a 5-round clip, 30-06. Put it on safe, of course. We're marching in line over to the edge of this forest. There's a road that leads up through the forest, and on either side of the road, whether it's in like a big bushel of shrubbery or right next to the road where these two positions are, or anywhere in between, the Germans could be anywhere. So we're just like, okay, listen to your corporal, remember your training, you will make it through. I wonder how many times that actually worked, because we're just like, okay, Corporal Hunt, you'll be on the left side of the road going up. The Canadians will be on our very leftmost flank. And Owen, you will be with Private Lim and Private Hadlack on our very most right flank. So I'm on the right side of the road, and I realized, oh, this is going to be difficult. It's a good thing, because I had a bunch of new gear on, of course, it's all right here, and I had to break it in, of course. Let me just say, breaking it in kind of hurts your feet when you are tripping over a bunch of ivy and bushes and sticker bushes, and you're just like having to soldier through that. I've been tripped a couple of times, fell face first onto the ground because of these natural tripwires, which happen to be ivy. Anyway.
The barbed wire.
Yes, basically. And then what happens? Well, when you're in a wool uniform, it's 80 degrees out, and luckily you're in a forest, but there's no air circulation because of the trees. A gas attack happens. So we see this big orange cloud moving towards us, and my corporal yells gas. So I throw off my helmet, and I reach out my gas mask, and I put it on. And let me just say, that is hell. When you're in 80-degree weather, wool uniform, you're wearing a gas mask that's very hard to breathe through for some reason. Something must be wrong with my filter. I was sweating my ass off. I was just... The seal around my mask wasn't good enough. I could smell the smoke. My lenses were fogging up. I couldn't see anything. Just breathing, panicking. So I'm just like, okay, I am not moving. I'm just going to dive into this, shadowy spot and just wait it out. And I actually was just like, okay, I am not breathing in through this, or I'm just kind of breaking the rules and breathing in through the tiny air slits in the side, breathing out through the nozzle just to make it look like I'm doing it correctly. But I wasn't, of course, because I would die if I was wearing that gas mask properly. Anyway, the gas passes, and I finally was able to take my gas mask off. By then, it was like I was swimming in sweat. So
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, what's happening now? What's happening now? I get orders to move up to this one position that we called the Canadian bunker, because the Canadians built it, and it was actually very good. So I jump in, and I notice, in 80-degree weather, there's not really any mud. It's a lot of dust. So I dive down, helmet falls off into the ground, pick it back up. It's now lightly colored because of the dust. Put it back on, and I notice my rifle's getting all dusty. I was like, oh, no wonder they had to clean these things constantly in the First World War. Anyways, my corporal orders me to run across the road as he gives covering fire to me, because he spots a few Germans up the road. So with his 1903, he pops off a few shots, and this is the first time anyone's shot during the whole game. So I run across the road, and I slide down into a ditch, and guess what? There was ivy that acted as a tripwire again, and I basically toppled head over heel down the road.
Just rolled.
So yeah, I fall down, and I'm basically like, okay, what's happening now? He tells me to meet up with the Canadians on the left flank. Okay. So I am soldiering through this ivy bushes now until I hear a few shots in front of me. So I get down. Then I see movement just through the bushes. It was 2 Germans hiding in a bush. And I was just panicking. I did not know what to do. I just froze right there. Heard a few shots go over. I thought he was shooting my corporal. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, he just starts shooting at me. So I'm just like, oh, I won't stand for this. I fire a few safety shots in the air. I didn't know what to do. I run around and I'm just like, freeze! And there's 2 of them right there. But then one of them says, I threw a grenade. So I just act injured on the ground. I was like, what is going on? You threw a grenade? Yes, I threw it over there. Okay, then I'll just take my hit. I'll just act injured or whatever. And so I noticed one of them, which happened to be a brother of the leader of the infantry regiment 23, is just like, yeah, I'll just take my hit because I think Brian shot me or something. I can't remember exactly how he died. But the other German, which happened to be Huck, was just sitting in the bush with his Gewehr 98 being like, I know I didn't kill you, but I see the Canadians coming up the road. So he's just sitting there, and I look over, and a few shots just, happen to pop by behind me, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Canadians are coming. We're going to wipe you 2 out. So yeah, of course they kill Huck and whatnot. But before that could happen, there was actually another gas attack, so they have to don gas masks. I decided not to because 1, the crowd was moving away from me and towards them. And 2, I am not putting that gas mask back on. No, sir. Anyways, Corporal Hunt decides to meet up with me, and I get somewhat revived after the OC's call, okay, everyone down, revive. So yeah, I'm back up, and from there, Huck takes a good picture of me, which I use as my profile pic right now. And then, basically, we have like 2 Germans left. One of them is in the bunker, one of them beyond the bunker, across the road, up above us. So what do we do? Well, I say, well, I could just run up there and throw a grenade in, and that'll be great, right? He's like, okay, here, have a grenade. Throws me a rubber Mills bomb, and it has this little pink ribbon around it just so we could spot it because ivy is a pain when
Yeah.
you're digging through it trying to look for grenades. So anyway, I wrap around this pink ribbon around this grenade, and I'm just like, okay, quietly after he takes a few shots, I can run up there, throw a grenade out. Anyway, I run up there, take it out, grenade. I throw it, majestic throw in my eyes. It's like slow motion. I watch it hit the edge of the bunker and bounce in front of it. I've never been so disappointed at a toss of mine in my entire life. And I was like,
Oh,
what do I do now? I look up, I see a potato masher coming towards me. Oh, jeez, so I just run past the other way. I dive down, and then the grenade goes off, and the OC says, oh, you're injured, get out. And I was like, oh, shoot. That's the second time I've been injured by a grenade this battle. Anyways.
two purple crosses.
Yeah, give me 2 purple hearts. And then
Two purple crosses, what am I saying?
Okay, anyway, I look over now, and I see my corporal just running up to the bunker, throws a grenade in, and then fires his pistol into the whole area. And I was just like, that was epic. If only I had that on camera, that would have been the best shot for the whole battle. Anyway, Index was called, the battle was over. The first battle was over. We gathered up and were like, okay, what did we learn this time? Well, many things. Try to look for grenades going towards your area, and take your hit, please. And go by an honor system, because the whole time we were like, this is the Great War. Everyone dies! Yay! Okay.
That's how everything ends. Everyone dies.
Everyone dies. After that, we decide, okay, let's mix things up a bit. Americans, Canadians, you guys are defending now. Germans, you are going to be wandering in and trying to kill us all. So I was paired with Private Lim, and we went to the middle of this shrubbery area where there happened to be a pit and a bunch of sandbags. We decided, okay, we only have 15 minutes this time, apparently, not a half hour. So we're going to just fill up a few sandbags and put them up on the wall to get some extra protection. We do that, and then he orders me, Private Lim, to go up above and try to spot the Germans before they come. So I was looking down, and I noticed my helmet is reflecting off light, so I have to stay really still. And I'm lying down in a super uncomfortable position with my rifle in hand. Anyway, it's getting more dusty. I could feel it whenever I rack the bolt. And I'm just looking down there, and I see the Germans just walking across. But for some reason, they're just staying there. And suddenly I notice 2 of them are missing. Where are they going? Suddenly I hear rustling in front of me, and then someone fires off a shot first. I think it was the Canadians firing up into the Germans going down. And I just hop down into the trench, and I, get my rifle at the ready, and I see 2 of them running across the road, and I pop off 2 shots. But they're classified as misses, apparently, even though I thought I had my sights right on them. Well, I guess hitting living targets is hard. Anyway, there's a few people in front of us. 2 people, to be exact. And I shoot off one of their heads after they poke their heads up just for a tiny bit. Plop! Right in the head. So he calls his hit and goes down. Private Lim picks off the other. So that leaves about, I believe, 1 or 2 more Germans after that. Somehow, after like a 5-minute wait, Private Lim was like, I think I hear someone behind us. Owen, you stay here. I'll go up and see what's the trouble. And we find out, somehow 2 of the Germans flanked behind us. And were firing us from behind. We don't know how they got there, honestly. So I was like, okay, I won't stand for this. I'm not staying here. So I actually run behind Lim, and I was like, do you see anyone? Yeah, 2 Germans flanking behind us. What do you think we should do? I know what I'm going to do. I army crawl to this really good sniping position that's just in the ditch on the edge of the road. I'm just like, all right, waiting there. I think I have a few photos of myself as well in that exact position. But I'm like aiming right at where the Germans are, and Thomas pops his head up, and right before I could take the shot, someone calls in an artillery strike. I don't know how, but it's basically imaginary artillery. And he's like, yep, I got you 2 bullets. Yeah, we win. I was like, oh, come on. I was just about to get them. What is this?
You guys got to get some serious pyrotechnics out there for that stuff.
Exactly. When we get the Golden Dale fight up, that's where we're going to basically get the big battles going. Remember, Nouvelle West Coast. Think about it.
That'll be pretty cool.
After this, we decide to have a lunch break, which, of course, I eat corned beef and hardtack. Really good stuff together, honestly, when it doesn't break your teeth. Yeah, that was quite a day. I was getting all sweaty. Then we're like, all right, everyone clean their rifles. Let's clean our rifles. So, yeah, I get my gun oil out, and I wipe down all the metal, get rid of all the dust and stuff, and unload it, of course. All right, what are we doing now? We're going back in the woods to have 2 more battles. I was like, yay, I just cleaned my rifle for this. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. This battle was another like the first battle where we had to wander in. The Germans were encamped somewhere. But this time, we have one of our medics fighting as a soldier. He takes off his Red Cross armband, and he's acting as a soldier this time. His name was Alex. I think he's around my age. But he's a pretty quiet kid, honestly. And he really had never any experience with the battle, so we had to train him to use the rifle beforehand. And yeah, I had to lead him. Even though I'm probably just like a private first class. I have to think about my rank again, but Alex here, well, I had to order him around. He was ordered to follow me, and I basically was like, okay, so I basically have someone's life in my hands. Interesting experience so far. We're taking the right flank again, and then we take this position. We go back to the Canadian bunker. Another gas attack happens.
Hmm.
By this time, the sun has gone down a little bit, so we're not as hot as we were earlier today. So I put on the gas masks, and then the gas starts coming over to us. Suddenly, it starts to itch, quote unquote. The gas is starting to suffocate us because we're just like, what do we do? What do we do? So I order Alex, give me covering fire. I'll go over here, and then I'll give you covering fire so you can come over here. Alex is like, you say something? I was like, Alex, fire your gun. So he's like, okay. Stands up over the parapet, fires his gun. He's like, Alex, no, no. So I'm just running out of there, and he thinks he's still alive, but the German above that shot at him says he's not. So we're still confused. Anyways, we're just like, okay, Alex, you need to just follow me now. Just follow me. We flank up to where this bunker is, and on the inside we see a dead German. So someone picked him off before. Then across the road, I see another German firing at us, not knowing where we are. I was like, okay, this is our chance, Alex. You know, I could give you the shot here. You back me up if he faces me, because I'm going to try to run into this trench right here and pick off a few shots and get him. Alex, I think he nodded his head. I can't be sure, because he probably didn't listen to me again. I jump into the trench, and when I peek over the top of the trench, I see the German's barrel just pointed at my face. Muzzle flash, I take my headshot, and I fall down in the trench next to the dead German. Then I look over at Alex, and he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there in the bush, and I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, the battle called over, and Alex was like, what happened to you? I ordered you to fire at the German if he's aiming at me. He's like, you did? I'm like, okay, just remember to fire your gun more. That's the important thing about the battle. The enemy will just face their heads away when they're being shot at.
You're the Americans, don't worry about ammunition.
Yeah, we're the Americans. Don't worry about ammunition. I got plenty. Yes. Then after that, we were just like, okay, let's try a new battle thing. Let's do conquest, battlefield style. We have several positions. We'll just label them, Apples, Butter, Charlie, just like in Battlefield 1. So anyway, the Americans start at the top of the hill, Germans start at the bottom. We run to capture objectives until everyone's dead, basically. So we didn't have many tickets compared to the Battlefield games, did we? We only had 10 people total, 12 probably. Start at the top of the hill, and we're like, so wait, did we discuss what starts the battle? And they're like, I don't know, I assume a gunshot. We hear the Germans fire a shot. All right, let's go. So Alex is behind me. We're marching down, taking a flank to the Canadian trench. And then we're sitting there for a very long time. 15 minutes. Wait a minute. That shot wasn't the start of the battle when the Germans came out. They're like, what are you guys doing? Well, you shot. We assume the battle started. We start when the whistle sounds. We were just testing out Huck's gun. We didn't know if it was going to fire or not. You know what? Everyone go back up. So already tired and sweaty from that running down and flanking, we go back to the top of the hill, and then only to come back down the exact same way, but no Germans come our way. They all go to the left flank, and they all get eliminated by the Canadians. So yeah, then it was just a day after that. We went to bed, but before that, we actually had a fire going, and we had basically a campground song thing. Come on, yeah. Basically, everyone was just singing songs, and I was playing my harmonica with Alex. I might playing a song right now, just... messed that up in the last part, but you get the idea. We were doing that.
That's pretty cool.
Fire, and then basically we're just like, all right, let's do guard duty tonight. Over what? Well, we need this fire to keep going all night so we can have it in the morning. Plus, there's raccoons that are trying to get into the mess tent. So we'll take 1 hour of shift. I'm just trying to get to sleep, and then someone kicks my foot, and they're like, Owen, you're up. It's like, okay, I begrudgingly get up and just sit in the fireplace just for an hour doing nothing. And then basically I forget to alert the next person to do their fire shift. So when we get to the morning, they're like, "Hey, the fire's out. Who put the fire out?" I was like, "Well, it wasn't me. I did my shift. I hope no one gets suspicious." Yep. And basically that morning, I was like, "All right, we're gonna do one last battle, but this time I'm gonna fight as the Germans. Für den Kaisergott und Vaterland." So basically, I was just like, "Yeah, this is my basic German kit I'm wearing so far. I mean, I just got a new stuff for my belt, like a bread bag strap and whatnot. Getting some more stuff in the mail, hopefully within the next month or 5." Anyways, Thomas gives me like 10 blanks, just 10. And the rifle I was given was a Kar 98 AZ, original. Had a very funky bolt handle. It's like checkered on the underside. And we were just like, okay, let's go into the forest first while the Canadians bunker up. So this is early in the morning, but Thomas was like, guys, I'm not going to be using a Gewehr or anything. And he brings out his trench gun, his 1897
Ooh.
Winchester, original. It can slam fire. And, oh yeah, I meant to say, when we arrived on Thursday, we were going to the campsites to figure out which one to go to. He hands me the shotgun and he gets himself his rifle, and we're like, let's just fire off a few blanks for the heck of it. So he gives me 3 half-loaded shotgun blanks. And I was like, okay, half-loaded? Are these loud at all? And he's like, they're loud. And I was like, I choose to, I beg to differ. I let him know. Firing. I was deaf for like 5 minutes. And he's just like, yeah, it's loud. I was like, yeah, it's loud. He shoots off his rifle and it adds to the pain. And I'm like, okay, I have tinnitus for the whole event. That's great. It's completely gone by now, of course, but I know what not to do. So yeah, during the battle, he decides to bring fully loaded shotgun shells, which are twice as loud. Isn't that great? Ooh. So yeah, we have earplugs for people who need them. I'm just like, naturally, I'll choose them. And I got a video of him shooting off the fully loaded shotgun shells before the event. Very smoky. The smoke somehow lingered in the grass after just 2 shots.
That's pretty cool.
Gun kept jamming. That's great. Anyways, we basically are just moving around. I'm following. We're in a straight line going up. Canadians start firing on us immediately. So we're like, who takes their shot? Huck's just like, I'll do it. And he just goes down. I'm like, Huck, 9! So I just run over to the first place where I was at the first battle where the grenade supposedly injured me. And from there, I meet up with Thomas, Caleb, and then Huck comes back. Then we have Dylan, who was just shot just a moment before. It was so funny. I have a video of him. He just walks back on scene like, what's up, guys? Yeah, I got killed, but I'm just going to go back and fight. Anyway, we look up. I'm trying to film a little bit of this. Yeah, that's probably the best footage I have on my phone at the moment. But yes, basically it was just that, and I'm just firing off a few blanks. Then Huck gets the idea, okay, we're going to move across this road. I'm going to fire the smoke grenade out, and we're going to move across. He lights the smoke grenade, throws it on the road, and we're about to run across when his gun jams, so we have to figure that out first. But by the time we get ready to move across the road, the smoke's gone, so we just wasted a whole smoke grenade. All for what? For his gun to jam, and just for us to not get shot during unjamming said process? So we just move across the street, but of course I got shot along the way, and so does he. Thomas fires his shotgun a few times, but that's about it. Then after that, we're just like, you know what? Let's just do photo shoots and stuff. Staged photo shoots. We basically do that. I get a pretty cool video of me of what it looks like I'm picking off 2 Canadian soldiers in the trench. I'm pretty certain I posted that. And after that,
I saw quite a bit of footage posted after the event ended.
Oh yeah. And after that, Thomas fires his trench gun into the little dugout, and it causes like a big dust storm and whatnot. Yeah, it was that. And then after that, just a few more photos, and we're like, all right, this event's over. So let's just go back and get ready to pack and leave. So that's what we did, and it's been it's been weeks since that event now. Jeez. It didn't feel that long ago, but statistically it is.
It's been a couple weeks, yeah. It's been quite a while.
Yep. Well, here I am, still collecting more of my German kit and getting ready for the next best thing.
Yeah, doing those events, I can't wait to do an official event. I've done a lot of campouts here in California, and it's been fun. I can't wait to do an actual event though. The first campout I did was back in February, and I was going full hardcore. I had a bunch of like little rations I had bought. The little crackers with the canned meats and all that stuff, and that's what I ate. I literally ate only stuff that I had made. I made Herbswurst for it and all that stuff. Literally just specific rations for Germany. and I had bought my first things for Zeltbahn, and I slept outside, and it was miserably cold, just miserably cold, with wool blankets and my uniform on and my great coat on. It was miserably cold. It ate through everything. But yeah, it was fun. I definitely feel you though. You were talking about like 80-degree weather and all that, dude. It's worse when it hits like the mid 90s. I've played airsoft, full gear, gas mask on, stall helm, everything in 102-degree weather.
Good on you.
It's miserable. It's so much worse. You walk around for 5 minutes and everything's just sweat. I mean, I'm sitting in my room right now and it's like not even 80 degrees, and I'm just like, you know, there.
Yeah, I'm just sweating sitting here with my uniform on.
Yeah, it gets warm so quickly. But it's weird. Like you hit a certain temperature and it's just like, yeah, this is just normal.
Yeah. Well,
So
we're hoping to see you around the Golden Dale event, the next tactical that we're hoping to have around November.
I think that there's an event in Southern California as well that's happening in November at some point,
Yeah, that's so.
that I'm going to. I don't
And
really know when it is.
oh, have you heard of NSEG in Texas? Have you heard of that event?
I haven't, but I don't know if I'd end up going there. Texas is generally a little warmer.
It's
Not
generally
too sure.
warmer, but this one's in November too. Yeah,
Maybe then. I don't know.
if it was more logical for me because I can't really afford a plane ticket, especially right now during COVID. Or
Yeah,
driving down
yeah,
is like a nightmare.
yeah. And
Man,
trying
wish
to
I could go. I would
transport
have
all this
several
stuff
rooms in mine.
via plane. Oh my gosh! Try to get your gun via airplane, and it's like that just sounds like a nightmare.
Somehow Thomas did it with a fly-in event last year.
Yeah, but he's a mad lad. He does way too much stuff that shouldn't be possible.
I know. I aspire to be
Uh,
here one day.
yeah. Um, yeah, one of the things that I've really liked with reenacting though is just the rations part, the cooking them and then being able to use them on the field. It's
Yes.
been using the mess kit for stuff is really fun.
Oh yeah, it's super useful. Which reminds me, I actually just bought a mess kit and a gas mask canister that should be delivered sometime this week. I hope. You see, my I guess the group leader of IR23 has it all because we did a group order from Thomas. Because guess what? All this gear is coming from him. He's selling a bunch of it to us. But I'm the northernmost member of our entire state, which means like a 2-hour drive just to meet up with the people. But he
Just
said
to meet up in central Washington.
I know. But he said he's going to drive up to here because he goes here often, which I didn't know. Yeah, isn't that weird? Like you find a new friend in reenacting and then realize you've been in very similar areas, whether it be living there or just traveling there often. It's
Yeah.
weird finding a community that was just among you the whole time.
It's insane. Like with Thomas Yip specifically, he drove up to Washington.
Yes.
I've gone up to Washington once before. I went up to Seattle last year in July, and I drove the whole way. I had a couple friends with me, but I just drove. And on the way back, we did it in one go. Going up, we stopped in Portland, we stopped in a couple other places. But coming back from Washington, the only places we stopped at were for gas. I that was miserable. I almost fell asleep in the last 30 minutes. It was horrible. I cannot imagine adding another like 8 hours to that coming from Southern California.
Well, Thomas can. So that's
Yeah, I don't know how he does what he does.
I don't either. I could ask him, but he won't give a clear answer, that's for sure.
No, he won't. He'll just say so. He'll just look at you, go poggers, and then run off.
Well, that is so true though. It's just like
It has to be done. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting involved in an event. I was going to be moving to the East Coast pretty soon here, but then everything started to break down even worse society. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'll be moving out mid-September, and then the riots happened in Wisconsin with all that awesome stuff, people getting shot in the streets by other people, and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg decides to kick the bucket. Like, I'm gonna wait just a bit.
Just wait a bit. I'm like,
Because if what we're experiencing now is bad, it's going to get worse. So I'll be here for the events in November, unless everything gets so much worse.
yeah. You see, there's actually more than one event I'm going to for this November. November 7th, we're having the Auburn Veterans Day Parade, and I'm hoping to buy myself either a reproduction or an original 1907 overcoat for my Doughboy here.
That'd be
Because,
pretty cool.
well, it's November. It's probably going to be cold, and I don't have an overcoat yet. So why not just get one?
Yeah.
The thing is, my friends are like, "Oh, it's easy. You could find them for like $40 or less on eBay and stuff." I check eBay; they're like over hundreds and hundreds of dollars for stuff that probably doesn't even fit me. And the reproductions that are out there that do fit me are $275. But then they have another style of it which looks even more complex for only $165. So where's the disconnect here?
It's so odd how some of that stuff is priced.
I know.
It's so weird, and I hate being told, "Oh yeah, you can just find it at such and such for super cheap prices," and then you go there and it's like way more expensive, and I'm just sitting there like, "What are you talking about? Like,
Have that.
what you get? Give me just 1 second. I got to plug my laptop in. I'll be back on the stream." I'm not gonna put that back on. My head's too warm right now. But yeah, it's been fun, just the events that I've done with the group here in California. We had a blast with our stuff. Just even though it's just airsoft, it can be really fun with all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember when I used to be in airsoft. Kind of just fell apart when I came into reenacting.
Yeah, I like airsoft because with reenactment, I mean, I don't really know how you guys gauge hits, but it just seems like it's difficult to do surprise attacks.
It is difficult, but basically the idea is that, well, I've actually been trying to tell the group this, but if you get shot at, just assume it's an actual hit, because most of the time when you aim at someone, you're probably going to hit them, like in reenactments, of course.
Yeah,
Registered as an actual miss, like if your sights were not on them, just still take your hit. Like, we still got to discuss this, especially if we're going to include pyrotechnics, like artillery or actual pyrotechnic grenades, and we just got to discuss more of this so we could actually make it more, what do you call it, consistent.
it's interesting because I've talked to one of my good friends. He was a cop, and he's been in some close quarters combat in terms of shootouts, where everything's point blank. And he's mentioned how most of the time your hit percentage is super low. So you might have your sights on him, but in that high adrenaline state in a real situation, you're going to miss. And then when you look at the Mausers, specifically with their roller coaster sight,
Yeah.
the Germans, they had to aim their Mausers lower than the target because the lowest setting on the Mauser was 400 meters for their sight.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which isn't very short distance. So the sighting is a little off. So personally, I think that misses even when you have the sights on the person. It's going to happen a lot. But for me, my difficulty is like just getting myself in a state of, okay, if I hear shots, how do I know that they're coming at me? How do I know if I should register a hit or not?
Exactly.
I don't know. It definitely just seems like something that's hard to gauge, to where you have to get yourself out of the state of, ooh, I have to am I hit or am I not? And just something where it's like, is it reasonable to think that I'm hit and whatnot?
Yeah, basically what we went by is it reasonable? Another way we could go by taking our hits is if you see someone shoot at you. Because hearing alone is not enough to know if you actually been hit. So you can assume you miss. Yeah, we still got to figure out the rules and whatnot to make it more consistent, of course.
Yeah. And then there's also the element of like, is what I'm doing fun? Is it fun for the other people? Is me running around like I'm some 101st reenactor, like some sort of Teutonic knight where I'm just not going to go down? Is that fun for the other people? Is it fun for me?
Yeah, Make it
like
fun.
what's fun? Reenactment when you're not in a public setting, it's fun first, educational second. When you're in a public setting, you want to focus on the educational aspect of it.
Yeah.
But
Reenacting is an interesting hobby nonetheless because
yeah,
it kind of makes fun and realism together, and it's like a very small space that you can work in for that, of course. Because if not, you're either too, I don't know, invincible. You're having fun for yourself and whatnot, or you're too
yeah,
realistic and you're just sitting in a trench for hours on end. Like,
just sitting there in the mud.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance to it. I will say that there are some of the more mundane things that I found some of the funnest. There have been events where we've done campouts where I've honestly been sitting there in the battles just going, I don't want to do this. I want to sit around our little camp spot and work on like a trench with my shovel. I want to go off and cook a meal in the mess kit or make myself some tea because it's just fun. It's fun to sit there and do things the way that they used to do it with the mess kits and whatnot. Just sit
Yeah.
there with it over a fire and if it's just fun. It's just very fun to use the old analog stuff.
Yes, very fun.
I'm someone who I have old antique cameras from the 30s and 20s. My oldest one I think was made in 1912, and I've loved taking pictures with them and developing the film myself. It's a blast.
I want to get into that actually because I found a few Kodaks that are just in the local antique store. Got to look at the price again, but they're no more than 100, of course. But the other thing, how do they work?
Okay, so if you get a Kodak, and I am going to do some videos on my channel about old photography, I'm going to have to buy a couple of I have to buy a replacement bellow before I start doing it. But if you buy one of the Kodaks that fold out and you have that little thing that looks like an accordion, the bellows,
Oh yeah, that.
don't get those for your first one. And the reason why I say that is because those are generally broken and they require a lot of work to do to fix. And you're looking at an extra about $40 worth of stuff to fix it properly. So you're paying $100 something for the Kodak camera, then you're paying another $20 to $50 for replacement bellows. The other thing is you want to check it for the film type. The only common film types you're going to find nowadays to fit those are 120 film and the 30 millimeter, I think it is. Those two are the more common film types. I was lucky, and I have two 120 film Kodaks with the bellows. I'm using one of them as a parts camera. And I have a 1930s box camera, which is what I would recommend. Get a 120 film box camera. You can find those for anywhere between $30 and $60. I'd wait a bit because I'm going to post a video on how to tell if one works or not. I'm going to go to a local antique store and buy a broken one to show the difference of it.
All right, then.
And so that you can figure out, does it work or does it not? And they're really cool. They're fun. They're fun to use, and I highly recommend it. I've gotten some awesome photos through them. If I had it on my computer, I would just pop it on here. But yeah, they're great. They're awesome cameras.
Yes, I'd better look into it as well.
But yeah, I'll probably have a hunting for cameras on as a video in a couple weeks, probably in 4, and then I'll have a video on replacing the bellows. I'll probably do that in a while once I get some actual bellows replaced to replace it with. So.
All right, then.
Yeah, bellow replacement is something else, dude. It's such a tough thing to do.
Let's see. Well, then.
But yeah, I recommend it. It's fun.
Wow.
It's a fun thing to do. Developing film is its own different animal. If you want it to look good, you got to take it in somewhere. If you want it to look old, do it yourself.
Yeah.
So, because when you do it yourself, you screw up the process, which is what you want to do, because then it looks old. So, yeah, it definitely adds a new aspect to it when you can run around the field while you're doing a game and just take out your box camera and do the whole click down with the, it's a fun. It adds a fun element to it when you're around a bunch of guys with maybe there's cars in the distance, but there's no technology around. Just people dressed up in their uniforms, and you've got the box camera, and you're doing the whole click thing. It adds something different than just using your phone.
Yeah, I'd rather do that because I want to feel immersed every time I do a reenactment. If I see a phone, it only should be out for a very short amount of time.
Oh yeah. I even have a 16 millimeter photography camera that was made for that was commonly used during World War II for combat footage.
Oh, really?
So I've used that a couple times, but I've only used it with reversal film. which is problematic to develop. I'm probably just going to get some non-reversal type film, put it through that camera, send it in to get developed and scanned and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of refraining from using modern technology, there's also the issue of keeping time. Because when you're out in a reenactment and you just, slaving away with digging a trench, or you're just sitting in a bunker for what feels like hours, it's useful to tell the time. And I guess the one way to go with that is invest in a pocket watch. I got this pocket watch for my birthday. This belonged to my great-great-grandfather friend.
That's really cool.
So this was made in the teens. Problem is, it is broken, and it's like hundreds of dollars to get it fixed, sadly. But what I have found the solution is that there's this stopwatch company called Townsend that's based in the U.S., and they actually make reproduction of these old, like 18th and 19th century style pocket watches with the chain included. But the thing is, they don't work exactly the same as they do. They're battery powered, and they have a kind of a quartz type system on the inside, but they look exactly like these old pocket watches, and they are on time. They actually tell the time correctly. So I'm thinking of getting one of those. They're like $35 too. They're inexpensive, and they're perfect for just keeping the time and having something useful as a pocket watch on the field.
Yeah.
Well, I'll still keep this, of course, because family heirloom.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have a pocket watch myself that I got for Christmas a couple years ago.
Oh.
I think back Christmas of 2017, I want to say. Its quartz system looks like one of the older ones. It's just got a silver. It's silver. It's got the chain on it, and it quartz powered, which means that it's based off movement. I haven't used it in a while, which means I got to get the battery replaced. That's the one problem with them, since they're movement based.
Nice.
And yeah, they're awesome. What's cool is that the German uniforms, the trousers actually have a specific pocket.
Oh yeah, that's what they're for.
And it has a specific clip above it. That's how you can tell the quality of your trousers for reproduction. If they have a clip for the chain for the pocket watch, it's top notch quality. If they don't have that special little loop above the pocket, it's garbage. It's a good. It's a good
loop.
Yeah. If you've got it, it's like right below the belt loop. I don't know why the German trousers have belt loops on for some reason, when the belt was never used for that. I've noticed that with my trousers, they've got like some small loops on these sides for some reason. At least one of my pairs did. It might have been below quality, but they've got a loop right here for the pocket watch. It might have been. I think it was. It might have just been because it's low quality. But yeah, they've got a special little thing for your chain to clip onto, which is pretty cool. What's interesting is that typical wristwatches used to be thought as like a girl's item, like a woman's article of clothing, and they became more popular because of soldiers. They would take their pocket watch and then they'd modify it to go on their wrist so that it was easier to read the time and it wouldn't get lost. And
I've seen those before.
And
leather case for it, just put it on the wrist.
And those became super popular afterwards, and they were originally called the trench watch. Which I wish that name had stuck around.
Honestly, yeah,
because it just sounds so much cooler. But yeah, I love pocket watches. They're so awesome. I want to get another one. I want to get an original from the 1900s, early 1900s. But they're so expensive. There's some that go on eBay that were like gifts from the German high command to some ace pilot from World War One that's got all these decorations on it, and like the note signed by the Kaiser himself, that are on eBay for like 10 grand or so. And it's just like, oh my God.
I bet they're listed for a very long time.
But it's like, I just want a basic pocket watch. Just give me one that's like Trenchard on it or something.
Oh, I could sell you the link for that Townsend one if you want something practical.
Oh, dude, I've got a practical one, so now it's time to just splurge on one that isn't.
Dude, yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I hope. What type of stuff do you need left for your uniform for Germany?
Well, I'm waiting on the Marschstiefel, the marching boots. They're coming from Nestoff. I ordered about 2 weeks ago, so they should be here in about 2 to 4 weeks. Probably.
Or 2 months.
Or 2 months, but
Nestoff shipping is so inconsistent.
I mean, it's been shipped. It's just waiting in customs in Poland right now. I'm just hoping it gets here soon enough. Then I have another Schuster's order, which is shoulder boards, so I actually have something for my tunic, and hemmed, the shirt. I've ordered that at the start of August, and only until the start of September, I received an order saying, your order is ready to ship. And I was like, okay, can I have a tracking number? Okay, here's tracking number. It's an invalid tracking number. I don't know
Ooh.
where it is, but it's somewhere in Belarus.
Have you tried? There's a couple tracking number options you can try to try to track things, and it'll just look up every single carrier it can.
Yeah, I
There's
just want to know where they are.
Yeah, I think there's one thing. I think it's called 17 Track. I'll send you some links. I've got them all saved on my computer or phone.
All right, then.
Universal Parcel is one of them, I think, and it'll search everywhere for that tracking number. Basically, does a check on every single website that ships packages or tracks them, and it'll pull it up if it can find it. So if it still says invalid, it probably hasn't gotten into the system yet.
Possibly, but it's been 2 weeks since I got that shipping notification.
Yeah, I don't know. It's stuff right now is kind of crazy. So,
well, there is that, and I guess the other stuff I'm waiting on is within the U.S. In fact, tomorrow my Feldmutz is getting shipped from Andrew Barabas. He's from Facebook, and he makes really good soft caps.
I've heard that he's really good at it. I think Garrett Schutzen 1916 bought one from him, and it was really good.
Yeah, I can't wait to get mine. It's arriving this week, actually.
I want to get myself one of the pickle haubs that someone in the Facebook group makes. I've heard that they're really good.
Oh yeah, Keith Allen.
Yeah, I think so. I tried to contact him, and I haven't gotten any response. He still hasn't even seen my message. So
I did once because I heard he was the Gouvert Whisperer. But the thing is, I can't afford a Gouvert 98 right now, so I don't bother asking.
Yeah, I got this guy from a gun store local. It's a Yugo capture. You can tell because it's not Yugo made. It's Yugo capture because Yugo made doesn't have this type of bolt, and they don't have the hole right here for the sling. So this was made by Germany during World War I and then shipped to Yugoslavia after the war per Treaty of Versailles. It had the typical iron sight that was just flat. That would be typical. That's what they converted it when they took it. That's the only thing they did. Scratched off all the German markings, put Yugo markings on it. So I replaced the barrel with the 1918 new old stock. Mm-hmm. So now I've got the roller coaster sight.
Yeah.
So they're awesome. I love them. They're great guns. They're awesome to shoot. They're fun.
Yeah, I really want one. One that's
I
preferable.
would say I just have a love for bolt actions. I've shot so many different types of guns, and with the exception of machine guns, which I haven't shot, the favorite type that I have shot, semi-autos or whatnot, bolt actions are the funnest. Like, I don't get the infatuation with semi-autos. M1 Garand, AR-15, it doesn't matter. I don't like shooting them. They're boring. It's just like, click, oh, cool, I shot. Whoa. You know, but with bolt actions, there's like you're doing stuff with it. You're clicking the bolt.
Challenge to it, depending on which rifle you're using.
Yeah,
like
it's fun.
Doing an SMLE, you could do like that little finger on the trigger trick, do the mag minute. That's the kind of fun part of it. It's a fun part.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably gonna trigger some people when I say that I don't like AR-15s or M1 Garands, but they're just not fun to shoot.
I don't
like.
Either.
I get that they're practical, but like they're just not fun. Bolt actions
are fun. I agree with that entirely.
Bolt actions are just so, like, if I'm going to shoot something, if I'm going to take the time to, go through the legal hoops and, go through the money that is in ammunition, I'm not going to shoot something where it's just, all right, have the right stance and just pull the trigger. I have to just make sure I'm on target. I like the whole rack and the bolt. It's fun. I will say that the Gewehr's kind of loud. It's not as loud as the Mosin, but it's loud. I was wearing my Stahlhelm one time for video. I think I've got the video up, the shooting my Gewehr 98 video. When I took the first shot, dude, because of the Stahlhelm and the way it's formed, just it reverberated the sound, and my ears were ringing for about 5 minutes. It deafened me. It was just like, oh, this isn't good. Because I wasn't wearing ear pro.
Well, the ear pro I do. I basically just take one of those orange foam earplugs, rip it in half, and just it stays hidden, and no one will know you're wearing it.
Yeah, I just don't really wear it because I like hearing the sound of the gun. I know it's not safe. I know it's not good for your ears. I just really like hearing the unmuffled sound of the gun. It's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Even like it's dumb. It's dumb as hell to do, but it's fun. But yeah, closing thoughts on anything?
Well, I guess that's it. My computer is probably going to die soon because I'm doing this on a Mac without a charging cable.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
my pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, it's been great having you. And I'll definitely put the link to your YouTube channel and your Instagram account in the description for anyone who's interested in checking you out.
Thanks again.
Yeah. He does 1918 Doughboy, does some awesome art stuff. He's commissioned a couple pieces for me that I've thoroughly enjoyed. One of them is still my profile picture for Facebook because I like it so much. But yeah, I highly recommend checking him out, giving him a follow, giving him a subscription on YouTube. Definitely worth the time. So yeah, thanks for coming on the live stream. Hope to have you back, maybe on a stream for Among Us at some point, because I
Oh,
can do
yes.
that. And yeah, you guys should definitely check out my Twitch. I go on there and play all sorts of things in annoying fashions because I'm an idiot and don't know how to play games. But yeah, you have anything else that you want to add? Say real quick.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.